Aloha beloveds, welcome to this beautiful new day. My name is Athena Rose and I'm speaking to you from the big island of Hawaii, and today's a beautiful day to be alive. So beautiful, so amazing and breathtaking, the scope and breadth of this beautiful life and the experience that's available to all of us when we really tune in to our bodies and to our breath and to our hearts, and drop the mind, drop limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs, drop labels, identification with, uh, our programming. And in my last video, I talked about programming and how we can deprogram our mind um, and release as the fall time is allowing us to release right now. Old programs around who we are and what we're capable of, and how our identity is constructed. And yeah, today I'd really like to talk more about relationships and communication. I feel communication is a huge part of having healthy relationships, and it's really at the core and the essence of how we get our needs met. And as children, we used our ability to cry in order to communicate our needs when we were hungry or tired or needed a diaper change, and we couldn't communicate in our words, right? And so we used our voice, nevertheless, through crying and through our behavior to signify to our caregiver that we have unmet needs, and hopefully in the best circumstance possible those needs would be met as soon as possible, and wouldn't cause too much suffering for us. And yeah, so that work continues, as we get older, as we become adults and we're in relationship, and we attach to people in our lives, whether still continue to be our parents, our caregivers, our siblings, our loved ones, a partner, right? So I'm speaking to partnership right now, and what that's like to get one's needs met in partnership. And it can be extremely challenging sometimes to get those individual needs met when there's two people that come from maybe completely different backgrounds and completely different mindsets, even in a way, and experiences that they've had in their life, and ways in which they relate to the world. And yeah, so this has been coming up for me lately. How can I get my needs met in relationship, whether that be a need for to be heard, to be seen, to be witnessed, to be understood, to be held, to be given space, All of these are needs that we have as individuals, as sovereign individuals, that are important needs that should be able to be met in a healthy relationship, and to have that reciprocity of give and take, and understanding, and being able to listen. So some of the practical ways in which I've been tuning into that more is really just using my voice and stating what I need. It's as simple as that, saying what you need. Using your voice, stating what your needs are. I have a need for space. I have a need to be held. I have a need for you to just listen to me right now, process something I'm going through. I have a need to eat, so I need to take time to do that. It could be very basic survival stuff, and so using your voice to really express your needs, and state that to your partner in a neutral way, in a non-threatening way. I study nonviolent communication, and the core of that is using I statements, taking accountability for your needs, and not holding resentment towards the other person, or maybe even something might come up like, you should know this, like you should understand. But no, really, we shouldn't expect other people to understand what our needs are unless we express them clearly. So that's at the beginning part of communication and relationship, is expressing your needs through your words, and taking accountability. I need to have space. I would prefer that that this didn't happen, or that didn't happen, right? So let's just take the I need space, right? I need space right now. I'd like an hour to myself to take a walk, right? So you ask for that hour, and maybe there's some resistance in the partner, maybe they have other plans, maybe they prefer to be with you, right? So yeah, having a conversation about that. Maybe the other person is like, but I want to go soon, and so you come to a compromise, right? You communicate about that. Okay, well, I hear that you would like to go soon, so in order for us both to get our needs met, I will, how about me taking a half an hour walk so that I can get some alone time and do some things that I need to do and tune in to myself, and then we'll go as soon as I get back. So it's really just about expressing yourself and listening to the other person and taking into account their needs and listening deeply and not interrupting and allowing them to express themselves and state themselves clearly and giving them that opportunity to state their needs using I statements. I have a need to go sooner because of XYZ, and to honor that and to take that into account and to find a compromise, find a solution that works for both parties so that there isn't resentment, and so there can be a continued good flow of energy between both persons, and for there to be harmony. And it takes practice, these ways of relating and listening deeply, actively listening, and allowing that conversational turn taking, not interrupting, but allowing the other person to feel complete in their sharing. It takes practice, and it takes time, and it takes patience, and it does take a rewiring of the brain. It can very much mean that you have to rewire the way that you communicate in relationship. If you've had unhealthy relating in other relationships and it didn't look like that, the model that I just gave, maybe there was resentment or blame shifting, or even gaslighting on the extreme level, and projecting, but like blaming, like saying like, well, you always do this, or why do you need that, or like questioning the other person's needs and making something wrong with them because they need that, and making them, kind of like trying to make them feel bad so that they don't choose that. That's all unhealthy, toxic relating. That if that's happening in your relationship, I encourage you to reach out to somebody. You're welcome to reach out to me. I'd love to hold space for you and listen to what kind of communication styles and what kind of communication is going on in your relationship, because it's important that we really take a look at this and suss it out, and like very in detail to see what's really happening, because these can become habitual patterns that become normalized in relationships, and we may not even understand that this is happening because we're so used to it and we feel like it's a normal part of relating, maybe. And maybe you're not around other couples who are healthily relating, or maybe you don't even see that in them because you don't have the opportunity to, so you think that this is normal, or you grew up in a family where that was normal, and so for you it's a normal way of relating, and nobody really gets their needs met, or one person only really gets their needs met and the other person doesn't, right? And then there's resentment that happens, and that can cause a split and a shift in the relationship. So it's really just about expressing your needs and holding space for the other person's needs to be expressed, and finding a compromise that works for both. And it's not always going to be perfect, of course. Many times it's not. And so it's just like finding what that fine line is, finding what that amicable compromise might be, and finding harmony and congruency in all of that, and really being patient with the process, and being patient with yourself, and noticing what arises within yourself when you hear the other person express their needs, and how that feels to you in your body, right? And so a lot of the work that I do is really noticing the feelings and the sensations in the body as we're having these conversations, and what might come up, and where tension might be held, and how we can move that energy through somatic practices. So there are a lot of somatic practices that work in those circumstances: breath work and body movements, and different cross-lateral movements and toning, things like that, to just help calm and soothe the nervous system, and help allow the body to release energy that's coming through in reaction to what another person might be saying. So that is also something that I employ in my practice, working with women. And I really encourage you to reach out if you have any questions about healthy relationships. I put out a weekly Radical Self-Love and Healthy Relationships newsletter, where I write articles in relation to communication and things like that I just spoke to, using I statements, noticing toxic patterns in relationships, and working to resolve them and rewire and reprogram, because relationships can change. You know, they can change for the better. And so if there's a capacity and availability for that to happen, it's always best to try and work it out with people. If this is a relationship that you're invested in and you're interested in and it's valuable to you. So yeah, may this message find you well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. And I encourage you to go outside and drink good water, good clean water today, plenty of water, and get good sleep and move your body and get some sunshine if possible. And yeah, thank you so much. Aloha.